From far away, Venus looks calm, a soft, golden world shining gently beside Earth. But that beauty is a complete illusion. The closer you get, the more its true nature reveals itself, and Venus transforms from a peaceful neighbor into one of the most terrifying places ever discovered in our solar system. Up close, the planet becomes a furnace where heat is so extreme it can melt solid metal in minutes. The atmosphere isn't just toxic, it's thick enough to crush a human instantly, with a pressure equal to being nearly a kilometer underwater on Earth. Even the clouds offer no mercy. They're filled with sulfuric acid, capable of burning through skin and destroying anything that dares enter them. Every part of Venus feels hostile, harsh, and unforgiving. It's a glowing, suffocating wasteland where no life could ever survive, a world shaped by fire, poison, and crushing force. The more we learn about this deadly planet, the clearer it becomes why scientists call Venus the true planet of death. Before we dive deeper into this hellish world, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay with me, because what comes next will show you just how horrifying Venus really is. Venus is often described as Earth's twin, yet this comforting title hides a much darker truth waiting beneath its bright golden glow. The planet may match Earth in size and structure, but its personality is twisted into something far more violent and unforgiving today. From a distance, Venus looks calm, shining softly in the night sky like a peaceful sister world quietly orbiting beside our home. But the moment we look closer, every layer reveals a reality so extreme that the planet feels like Earth's nightmare brought to life. The atmosphere greets visitors with a wall of toxic gases, thick enough to trap heat that should have escaped millions of years ago. These clouds are loaded with sulfuric acid, creating a corrosive shield that burns through anything daring to enter or pass beneath them. Instead of cool winds and gentle air, Venus pushes down with pressure equal to standing under 900 meters of ocean water. This crushing force destroys spacecraft quickly, bending metal structures and shutting down electronics as if the machines were made of cardboard. The air is almost entirely carbon dioxide, forming a deadly blanket that keeps the planet locked at temperatures hotter than molten lead. Heat pours across the landscape endlessly, turning the surface into a massive furnace where nothing familiar to humans can possibly survive. Looking across the ground, you find no oceans, rivers, or life, only vast volcanic plains shaped by past eruptions that shook the planet violently. The rocks glow faintly through the thick haze, and the bending light creates an eerie orange world that looks more like a dream of destruction. Everywhere you look, Venus reminds us how fragile planetary conditions truly are, showing what happens when a world spirals into runaway chaos. Its environment is so extreme that even the toughest landers survive barely an hour before melting, collapsing, or losing all function entirely. This planet stands as a powerful warning, proving that two worlds can begin almost identical yet evolve into complete opposites over billions of years. Earth flourished with oceans and life, while Venus transformed into a suffocating furnace ruled by pressure, poison, and unending heat. So when people call Venus Earth's twin, they miss the real story hiding beneath its quiet appearance in the sky every single night. It is not our twin, it is our darkest reflection, a world that shows how a planet can become terrifying when nature turns against it completely. And as we study Venus today, we learn more about Earth's own future, understanding how fragile our climate truly is when pushed too far. Venus stands not just as a planet of death, but as a warning about what happens when a world loses balance and falls into irreversible disaster. This is the true face of Venus, Earth's nightmare version, a glowing furnace of crushing pressure and toxic air where nothing can live. And as we continue exploring this deadly world, it keeps reminding us how thin the line is between a paradise and a planet gone wrong. The surface of Venus is one of the most unforgiving places ever discovered, glowing with heat that turns solid metal into liquid instantly. Everything beneath the thick clouds feels like a world designed to destroy, creating an environment where every second is pure survival chaos. Standing on the ground would feel impossible because the atmosphere presses down with the force of nearly a kilometer of ocean water. This crushing weight doesn't ease for a moment, creating conditions where humans would collapse instantly and machines fail without warning. The temperature is equally terrifying, remaining locked at a deadly 465 degrees Celsius no matter where you stand. It doesn't matter if it's day or night, or whether you're near the poles or the equator, because the heat never drops at all. This blistering temperature keeps the entire planet glowing faintly through the haze, making the surface look like a burning industrial furnace forever. Even Mercury, which sits much closer to the Sun, cannot compete with the oven-like environment Venus maintains across every inch of its terrain. Together, the pressure and heat form a deadly combination that destroys machines faster than any known planet in our solar system. The powerful Soviet landers that reached the surface survived only minutes before melting, collapsing, or losing control under the extreme conditions. Every rock, every plane, and every ridge on Venus tells the story of a world punished by runaway heat locked inside its atmosphere. The ground is cracked and dry, shaped by ancient volcanoes and intense pressure that bends light into an eerie orange haze around everything. If a human somehow reached the surface, they would be crushed, burned, and suffocated so quickly that survival wouldn't even be measurable. This planet leaves absolutely no margin for error, proving itself as a true furnace world where life and technology have no chance at all. So the surface of Venus stands as a reminder of nature's harsh extremes, showing a landscape built entirely from fire, pressure, and relentless heat. It remains the ultimate example of a world that looks peaceful from afar, yet transforms into pure destruction the moment you touch the ground. The air of Venus is one of the most dangerous atmospheres ever found, built from layers of poison thick enough to trap endless heat. Almost every breath of this planet contains carbon dioxide, forming a blanket so heavy and dense that escape becomes nearly impossible. This CO2-rich atmosphere works like a perfect furnace, capturing sunlight and sealing it inside the planet for millions of years without relief. Once the heat enters, it stays locked in place, turning the entire world into a gigantic pressure cooker that never cools down. Floating above this suffocating lower atmosphere are massive clouds made entirely of sulfuric acid swirling in thick, dangerous layers continuously. These clouds are not like Earth's gentle formations. They're corrosive enough to burn through metal, skin, or electronics in seconds. Every droplet inside these clouds is a chemical weapon, capable of destroying any spacecraft that even brushes against their toxic depths. No material we use on Earth can survive long inside such corrosive mist, proving Venus holds no mercy for visiting technology. The density of the air is another terrifying feature, making every gust of wind feel like moving through an ocean of thick, invisible liquid. Flying through it would feel like swimming through hot syrup, with every motion slowed and every movement resisted by suffocating pressure. This atmosphere is so crushingly heavy that standing within it would feel like carrying a skyscraper on your chest without a single breath available. Humans could not inhale, exhale, or stay conscious because the air forces itself into the body with overwhelming intensity and deadly speed. Even breathing equipment would fail instantly because the pressure would collapse the device before it could deliver a single breath safely. It is not just poisonous. It is impossibly dense, turning every second of exposure into a direct battle against suffocation and collapse. And yet the danger keeps growing as you rise higher into the atmosphere where winds blow faster than hurricanes on Earth entirely. These winds circle the planet in only a few days, ripping through the acidic clouds with speeds capable of shredding fragile machinery instantly. The deeper we study this atmosphere, the more it reveals how violent and chaotic Venus truly is beneath its calm appearance in the sky. No other rocky planet in the solar system has produced such an extreme mix of poison, pressure, and heat working together so aggressively. Venus shows how a world can turn into a perfect trap, designed by nature to suffocate, corrode, and crush anything entering its deadly air. It stands as the ultimate example of a planet that looks peaceful from far away, yet becomes more terrifying with every layer we explore. So when we talk about the air of Venus, we're not describing simple gases or weather. We're describing a hostile force built from pure destruction. It is the most dangerous atmosphere ever discovered on a rocky planet, proving again why Venus remains the true planet of death. The surface landscape of Venus is anything but peaceful, hiding violent terrain beneath the planet's soft golden glow that tricks distant observers easily. Once you break through the thick clouds, the world below reveals a battlefield of rock, heat, and geological chaos frozen in permanent destruction. Much of the planet is covered with enormous volcanic plains stretching for thousands of kilometers, shaped by eruptions that once shook the world violently. These plains are layered with ancient lava sheets, creating a cracked and broken surface that looks more like a melted world than a solid planet. Scattered across these plains, you find massive shield volcanoes rising high above the glowing horizon, hinting that the planet might still be active today. Some regions show heat patterns suggesting movement beneath the crust, leaving scientists wondering if Venus still erupts with silent, deadly force underground. Other areas look as if time has stopped, trapped under crushing pressure and unbearable temperatures that freeze the landscape into permanent stillness. Mountains rise like twisted blades of stone, pushed upward by forces that reshape the planet long before humans ever looked toward the sky. These mountains are nothing like Earth's gentle peaks. They are warped, jagged structures formed in an environment where gravity and pressure fight constantly. Combined with the haze of superheated air, they create horizons that shimmer, distort, and glow faintly as light bends through the deadly atmosphere. The valleys and lowlands tell another story, revealing fractures that slice the surface into massive scars stretching farther than entire continents. These deep cracks show where the planet's crust once tore apart violently, leaving behind wounds that never healed under Venus's extreme conditions. Walking on this world would feel impossible, like entering a furnace designed by nature to crush, melt, and suffocate anything touching the ground. Every step would meet scorching winds, burning heat, and rocky terrain shaped by forces far beyond anything experienced on Earth's surface. The landscape of Venus is a perfect symbol of the planet's true nature. Harsh, relentless, and shaped entirely by fire locked beneath poisonous skies. It reveals a world where beauty disappears up close, and every piece of land whispers the same warning: this planet belongs only to destruction. Venus is terrifying because everything about the planet feels designed to destroy anything that dares to enter its deadly environment completely. Every layer of this world attacks in a different way, creating a combination of dangers unmatched by any other rocky planet we have studied. The pressure alone is enough to crush metal instantly, pushing down with the force of nearly a kilometer of ocean stacked on your shoulders. No machine survives long under this weight, proving that the planet doesn't just resist visitors, it actively destroys them with overwhelming force. Then there is the heat, locked at a temperature high enough to melt lead and melt zinc the moment they touch the surface directly. This furnace-like environment never changes, never cools, and never softens, creating a world permanently trapped in blazing, suffocating fire. The atmosphere is equally lethal, built from carbon dioxide thick enough to choke any living thing before it even tries to breathe properly. Mixed within this deadly air are clouds of sulfuric acid, swirling endlessly above the surface, burning through anything left unprotected for seconds. Even the wind offers no comfort, carrying toxic droplets and pushing through a dense atmosphere that feels more like liquid than breathable air. Each movement through this environment feels heavy and dangerous, as if the planet wants to hold you in place while its heat consumes everything. Light itself behaves strangely on Venus, filtered through the thick atmosphere until it becomes a dim orange glow covering the entire landscape always. This eerie illumination turns the world into a silent furnace, where the sky never brightens fully and the horizon flickers like a dying flame. What makes Venus truly terrifying is not loud storms or violent impacts, but the stillness that hangs over the entire surface constantly. It is silent, unmoving, and suffocating, a place where nothing stirs, nothing lives, and nothing escapes the crushing environment surrounding it. This silence makes the planet feel even more hostile, as if the world has accepted its fate and now waits quietly for anything to fall inside. There are no gentle breezes, no shifting shadows, and no signs of life, only endless heat rising from the burning plains beneath your feet. Venus is terrifying because it represents a world where nature has pushed every element to its most extreme and unforgiving limit imaginable. It is not chaotic or explosive. It is calm, steady, and permanently deadly, holding the entire planet inside a boiling, suffocating nightmare. This is why Venus stands unmatched, a place where pressure crushes, heat melts, air poisons, and clouds burn without hesitation. It is the quietest and most peaceful-looking world from far away, yet up close it becomes the most hostile and frightening planet we've ever found. Scientists believe Venus was not always a nightmare world, and long ago it may have looked surprisingly similar to a young Earth. Models suggest it once carried calm skies, cooler temperatures, and even shallow oceans that covered parts of its rocky surface peacefully. But something changed, and that change spiraled into one of the most catastrophic climate transformations ever seen in our solar system's history. As sunlight warmed the planet, water began to evaporate, and the atmosphere slowly filled with vapor that trapped even more heat relentlessly. This triggered a runaway greenhouse effect, a chain reaction where the planet kept absorbing heat faster than it could ever release it again. The oceans boiled away into the sky, leaving behind a thick, choking atmosphere that grew hotter and heavier with every passing century. Carbon dioxide then took control, building an atmosphere so dense that it turned Venus into a furnace locked at 460 degrees Celsius. Eventually, the planet crossed a point of no return, meaning no cooling, no escape, and no chance for the climate to recover anymore. Today, Venus stands as a terrifying warning, showing exactly what happens when a world loses balance and its climate spirals beyond control forever. It reminds us that even Earth-like planets can transform into deadly environments when natural systems collapse under extreme, unstoppable heat. Exploring Venus has always been one of humanity's greatest challenges, because every aspect of the planet is designed to destroy anything that comes near it. For decades, our spacecraft have fought a losing battle against an environment so harsh that even the toughest machines fail almost instantly. The heat melts electronics, the pressure crushes metal, and the toxic atmosphere strips away any chance of long-term survival. Every mission sent to the surface has been a race against time, a desperate attempt to gather as much information as possible before the planet claims yet another victim. The first true successes came from the Soviet Venera program, which made history by landing the only functioning spacecraft ever to survive on Venus's surface. But survive is generous. Most of these landers lasted less than an hour. Some managed only minutes before their systems overheated, collapsed, or simply dissolved in the intense conditions. The images they sent back are haunting: cracked landscapes, dim orange skies, and a horizon blurred by heat. These missions prove just how alien Venus truly is, and how far we still have to go before we can fully understand it. Despite these near impossible conditions, scientists have never stopped trying. In recent years, a new wave of missions has been designed with stronger materials, smarter sensors, and advanced protection systems built specifically to resist Venus's hostility. Space agencies around the world are preparing probes that can dive into the thick atmosphere, sample its chemistry, and map the planet with unprecedented detail. Others will orbit from above, using radar to peer through the clouds and reveal structures buried beneath the haze volcanoes, mountains, ridges, and valleys shaped by intense geological activity. One of the biggest mysteries these missions hope to answer is whether Venus was once like Earth. Some scientists believe that billions of years ago, Venus may have had oceans, clouds, and a stable climate conditions calm enough for life to potentially exist. But something happened, something massive. A runaway greenhouse effect took hold, heating the planet until its oceans boiled away and the atmosphere thickened into the crushing, poisonous blanket we see today. Understanding what caused this transformation could teach us invaluable lessons about the fragility of planetary climates, including our own. Future spacecraft will search for clues hidden in the atmosphere, looking for specific chemical fingerprints that might reveal Venus's past. Others will measure heat patterns on the surface to determine whether volcanoes are still active right now. If they are, Venus isn't just a dead world frozen in time, it's a living, breathing planet, undergoing violent changes beneath its smothering clouds. There are even proposals for floating research stations, robotic platforms that hover high above the surface in the cooler layers of the atmosphere where temperatures and pressures are much more manageable. From there, instruments could monitor storms, lightning, and wind patterns, sending back a continuous stream of data without being destroyed by the extreme heat below. These airborne explorers may become our best chance to study Venus for long periods. And as technology advances, we may one day send even more resilient landers, capable of lasting hours or days in conditions that currently destroy machines in minutes. Each new mission pushes the limits of engineering and forces us to rethink how we build spacecraft for the harshest environments in the solar system. In the end, the goal is simple but profound: to understand how a world so similar to Earth became so drastically different. Every probe, every orbiter, every atmospheric explorer brings us one step closer to uncovering the truth. Venus stands as both a mystery and a warning, a planet that challenges our knowledge, tests our technology, and reminds us of how fragile habitable worlds can be. And as future missions launch toward this deadly, fascinating neighbor, humanity edges closer to unlocking the secrets hidden beneath its blinding clouds. Studying Venus has become one of science's most important missions because this planet reveals what happens when a world loses control entirely. Every detail of Venus shows how quickly a stable environment can collapse, transforming a peaceful planet into a furnace of unstoppable heat. Its thick atmosphere, once harmless, turned into a trap that sealed sunlight inside and pushed temperatures beyond anything life could endure. The calm oceans that once covered the planet evaporated into the sky, leaving a world stripped of water, balance, and hope for recovery. Scientists study Venus because its story mirrors the dangers every planet faces when climate shifts too far, too fast, without warning. It teaches us how fragile atmospheres can be and how quickly a comfortable world can become a deadly one under extreme pressure. Venus didn't collapse overnight. It crossed hidden thresholds one by one until the warming became permanent and the change became unstoppable. Now the planet stands as a silent warning, showing us the future that awaits any world that fails to protect its delicate balance. Venus matters because it helps us understand Earth's future and the threats that could follow if our atmosphere ever tips out of control. It offers a glimpse at a path we must never follow, a path carved by heat, pressure, and a runaway greenhouse effect. Looking at Venus is like looking at a warning sign written across the sky, bright enough to see from millions of kilometers away. It tells us that even planets with oceans, clouds, and blue skies can transform into worlds of fire if the balance is broken. This is why Venus is more than a planet of death. It is a message from the solar system itself, urging us to pay attention. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time, because the next amazing space story is coming soon.